there, friends. Thank you for joining us on ABC24 Weather Impact Now. I'm Chief Meteorologist Trevor Burchett. If you are joining us for the first time, we appreciate you being here. This is the show every Monday to Friday at 6:30 where we do a deep dive into the local forecast. You're not going to find anything else like this on air in Memphis. So we're really excited to be able to do this, especially on days like this when the forecast gets a little complicated, a little interesting. We can really just settle down and take the time to do kind of an in-depth explanation of what exactly is going to happen. And it is about to be a pretty active weather pattern. We are tracking not one, but 2 rounds of thunderstorms, and at least some of those could be on the strong to severe side. We're talking about Friday and Monday. So tomorrow is kind of round 1. I think we have actually 2 rounds of storms tomorrow. We're going to have some around lunchtime and then more storms after sunset. So it's not going to rain all day tomorrow. Most of the day will actually be dry, at least in the afternoon. But again, those 2 rounds of storms could be a little stronger. I'm more concerned, I think, about Monday. I think that's a much more robust storm system, one that's going to have a little more energy and a little more juice to work with. We're going to break down all of it and exactly what we think could happen. Here's the setup right now. Our first cold front back in the plains, firing up a pretty big risk of severe weather. Several tornado warnings in Kansas, up into Iowa, northwestern Missouri. Not expecting that level of severe weather to make it here tomorrow, but it is that same system that is going to be headed in our direction. So there you see tomorrow's rain chance. I do think Saturday and Sunday are going to be mostly dry. There's a slight chance of rain in there, but if you're worried about your weekend plans, I think the weekend is going to be kind of right between these 2 storm systems, and then more rain and potentially some severe weather on Monday. Here's our current severe weather threat for tomorrow. It is a pretty low risk. This scale that we show you goes from 1 to 5. 5 is the highest risk. We've not had one of those in over a year, which is good. We certainly don't want it. We're in a level 1 to a level 2. Slightly higher risk down in the Mississippi Delta of Arkansas and Mississippi. But for us in Memphis, it's a level 1. So that's pretty much the lowest possible severe weather threat. It's not 0, but I think overall the severe weather threat is relatively low for tomorrow. Still going to give you the weather impact alert for tomorrow, though, because some of these storms could be heavy. They could impact your plans. Even if they're not severe, if they're not bad, the rain is probably still going to impact you. 2 rounds of storms, I think. We've got that one around midday into the early afternoon. We'll call it 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. That's kind of round 1. We'll get a break. And then I expect more storms to develop between 7 p.m. and 11 p.m. Either one of these storms has a low risk of severe weather, maybe some hail or gusty wind, but I think the highest risk of strong storms is with that evening round, the 7 to 11. Even then, it's not very high. It's a pretty low severe weather risk tomorrow, but we could have some heavy rain and some thunderstorms. It's not going to rain all day, so if you've got plans on Friday, just keep an eye on the radar. I'll give you a link on how to do that in a second, but you do want to be prepared if you hear thunder or have that heavy rain to move inside. But again, I just don't think it's going to rain constantly. There will be some breaks if you've got to do something outside. So let's talk about this hour by hour. Remember that line of storms I just showed you that's up in, Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa? That line of storms is going to make it to northern Arkansas overnight. So there you see, this is 6 a.m. Friday, that line of storms coming into northern Arkansas. Still dry in the mid-south at 6 a.m. I think the morning commute's going to be okay, but that line of storms gets closer. Now, it's going to be weakening. So, we saw those tornado warnings up there. This is going to be a much weaker line by the time it gets here. I think 8 a.m., most of us are still in the clear. So if you want to get something done early in the morning, you should be fine. But this batch of rain does get a bit closer to us by 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. There you see some heavier downpours in here into eastern Arkansas. Coming into Memphis, maybe right around 11 a.m. or noon. This is where we could get some gusty wind, but again, a very low severe weather threat. I mainly expect some heavy rain tomorrow morning into tomorrow afternoon. You see this line kind of continues to fall apart. There's 1 p.m., still some rain showers, but generally that line kind of collapses, and then that batch moves out by the evening. So here's 5 p.m. We're kind of between storm systems here. Now, what happens is when that decaying line of storms comes through, it leaves behind what we call outflow boundaries. Think of it as kind of leftover pieces of energy that the storms can use to uplift more energy if they redevelop later. So that first batch clears out. Dinner time, 5 or 6 p.m., we're pretty dry, but we have all that leftover energy where that batch of storms collapsed, that I think more storms will redevelop. So as we get closer to 6 or 7 p.m., look at this, back in Arkansas, we get another line of storms that comes in. This one could be a little bit stronger. Watch the time up in the top of the screen, 8 p.m., notice some of those brighter colors in there into eastern Arkansas and then crossing into Memphis by 9 or 10 p.m. So this will be round 2. If there's going to be severe weather, I really expect it with this round, the second round. Even then, the risk is low, but there still could be some gusty wind, maybe some hail. And then I think by 11 o'clock or midnight, it's pretty much done. Saturday morning, we wake up nice and dry. Again, pretty low severe weather risk tomorrow with both of these rounds. There is a low risk of some high wind gusts and a low risk of some hail, especially in that evening round, 9 or 10 p.m. We could get some hail. I'm not concerned about a tornado potential tomorrow, and I think this is going to be moving too quickly to produce any flooding. So if anything tomorrow, quick heavy downpour, gusty wind, maybe a little bit of hail, especially with the evening round. Now the weekend looks mostly dry. I did throw in slight chances for pop-up storms for both Saturday and Sunday, but those would be those quick summer-like downpours that don't last long. So don't cancel your plans. I think most of the weekend is dry. There could be a little rain here or there, but most of us are pretty clear for the weekend. High temperatures around 80 for both Saturday and Sunday. Sunday, our next storm system starts to ramp up. This is Sunday's severe weather outlook out in the plains. Severe weather likely Oklahoma and Kansas. And then by Monday, it shifts closer to us. Now, for now, the bullseye is just north of us. That highest risk of severe weather into Missouri, Illinois. But notice we are still in the zone where severe weather is possible. And I think this is a very robust storm system. We could still have some severe weather develop, even if we're not in the bullseye of the system. We could still have some severe weather develop Monday. And the way the system is setting up, I think they could expand that risk, the higher risk, a little bit further south toward Memphis. I think this is a setup that could include damaging wind gusts, hail, maybe even a tornado risk on Monday. So Friday is a low severe weather risk. Monday might be one we have to watch a little more carefully. So there goes Friday's system. Again, the weekend is mostly dry. And then we get this stronger cold front that has a little more wind energy with it that comes in on Monday. Could even have some cells developing ahead of the main line of storms, which would pose a higher risk for hail and tornadoes. So again, I just want to keep your eye on Monday. Be aware of the storms for Friday. But Monday, I think, is the day that we're going to have a slightly higher severe weather risk. And this is why. This is our storm energy. Here's Friday's. Very low storm energy. But watch what happens as this next system starts to ramp up out in the plains, Saturday, Sunday. Look at Monday. That storm energy really organizes itself. Some higher storm energy right over the Mid-South. So Monday, I think, is a better day to watch. Regardless, keep an eye on the radar anytime you want. Scan the QR code there on your screen. You can watch our extended weather coverage, our newscast, live, anything you want pretty much. You can also just watch the radar there on our app, either for your TV or for your phone. So just search up ABC24 on your app store, either on your phone or your TV, or you can just scan that QR code there and it will take you to a link to download all of that. Want to get you outside right now if you do have plans this evening. I know we've kind of skipped over today's forecast, but it's just been so nice. A couple of sprinkles earlier, but nothing too crazy. 80 the current temperature. We are dry for tonight. 66 is going to be the low. Tomorrow morning, I think, starts off dry. So the morning commute, you want to get the rain gear just in case, but I think the early morning commute is going to be dry, and then rain comes in closer to 10 or 11 a.m., continues into the afternoon. You see that first peak right around lunch, and then more storms likely to develop by 8 or 9 p.m. for Friday night. So 2 rounds of storms we're going to watch tomorrow. That's why we're giving you that weather impact alert. Severe weather risk is low with both of them, but there could be some heavy rain, maybe even a little hail and gusty wind in there tomorrow. Weekend looks pretty nice. Highs around 80, lows in the 60s. Slight chance of some pop-up storms, though, so don't be totally surprised if you get a quick 5-minute downpour sometime this weekend. Monday, again, a day to watch a little more carefully. Another weather impact alert. I think that could be a slightly higher risk of severe weather, especially Monday evening and Monday night. So we're going to watch Monday very carefully. Notice how we cool down after that into the 70s. Tuesday looks pretty dry, but more rain Wednesday and Thursday, and that's kind of the one good thing out of all of this. We're in such a bad drought that we need the rain. We could get at least a couple of inches out of this. All right, coming up on ABC24 Weather Impact Now, we're going to talk more about the drought situation, how it's impacting us and other parts of the country. We'll also talk about that earthquake that some of you felt earlier today. That's coming up right after this.